an additional degree and a half to 2 degrees warming, because we know that looking at human history, that's been hugely beneficial for mankind.
Now, has your group been censored because of the stuff it puts out?
Oh,
Well, I should not even have asked that question,
well,
right? I figured as much.
We're small. We're severely understaffed. I've got 3 full-time employees, including me. And I just had that conversation with Women Health Department. You taking care of social media. Here, like 3 weeks ago, I used to get 50 or 60 or 80 comments a day on Facebook, and that was just a portion of what got to was reported to me. I might get 2 today, and it stopped 2.5 to 3 weeks ago. Supposedly Facebook started, something's different. Something's very, very, very different with that. Our LinkedIn account, mine was permanent. I'm permanently banned from LinkedIn because I dared to post scientific data, long-term scientific data about thousands of years of temperature history. The count, and it's the same data that the IPCC uses, and I posted that, and they started taking down right and left every single thing I was posting on LinkedIn. Bam, it's removed. False and misleading. Bam, false and misleading. My very last post on LinkedIn, I said, I think I'm about to be banned and deplatformed on LinkedIn. It was removed, called false and misleading. And then they labeled it false and misleading. So I said I'm about to be banned and deplatformed, and then they removed it and called it false and misleading. And then permanently banned me. You can't make this stuff up.
Oh, I know.
And right after that, our PR guy, Publius PR, was taken down from LinkedIn within about a week. All of these people, the CO2 Coalition.
Yeah, I have a feeling that the black cat that I saw walking across the screen has stepped on a key and cut off this. Wow. Yeah, we're right in the middle of the conversation. I saw this big black fur just mount onto the screen, and I have a feeling the cat jumped up on the computer. I had a feeling it was a cat I saw crawling around on the couch back there.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Get out of here. Get.
Yeah.
Scoot. Yeah, my cat.
Yes, I know. Cats just love their owners. You know, they want to. They're not a lap cat. He likes computer keyboards.
I'm so sorry.
That's all right. I have a feeling that was. So as soon as I saw the cat, I go, great. Now what's going to go out? Anyway, so we don't see you on camera anymore. So I'm not sure what caused that. I think you have to unmute your video so that we can see you. But anyway, the bigger problem that we're having here is that we have all of these countries that are following an agenda, and the agenda is scarier than the actual facts itself, and they're censoring everything and anybody, and Facebook has become more aggressive with this. Have you guys thought about going to Truth Social and posting on there?
I just had a conversation with my head of the social media. The problem is we're so overwhelmed with work that there's just so much we can do in a little bit of time. And we're right now trying to get out we're creating a new website and materials for school children. The website will be CO2 Learning Center. We've already got a YouTube channel up with our initial 4 videos that are just wonderful. So the YouTube channel is CO2 Learning Center YouTube channel. And we've got a contracted a Brazilian artist. The books that we've got prepared, we have 3 completed that are it's called manga style. The videos are anime, and the kids just love it. And so we're trying to get this. We're desperately trying to get this website completed here over the next couple of weeks. We're all consumed on that. What's cool is we've got lesson plans. I've got a 12 or 15 member committee. It's amazing. The membership of this committee, just like the CO2 Coalition, we've got PhDs in physics, nuclear physics, chemistry, geology. You think these would be all eggheads, but what they've been able. lesson plans that have been prepared to go along with the books and the videos by Dr. Sharon Camp, a PhD in analytic chemistry. She wrote AP Science and taught it. So we've got lesson plans to go for homeschoolers. And so this is what we're trying to do, is teach kids science without climate alarm, and then put this material in the hands of teachers and parents so they can educate their children. The first 3 books are on gases in the air, including carbon dioxide. The second is on photosynthesis. The third is on recycling. And so we were very, very concerned about the state of education, scientific education in America. And it's turned into, instead of learning the scientific method and having kids figure things out, it's turned into indoctrination campaign, indoctrinating them into this climate change cult. And they're being very effective. And we said we have to do something to push against it. We are just the group to do it. Our qualifications are tremendous. And so I'm really, it's exciting what we're doing here. We've had just a tremendous response. We're doing a direct mail fundraising campaign, and the company we're working with has been doing this for 20 years. They said they've never seen a response. I mean, it's almost double some of the highest they've ever had with the response of people respond. People around the country coming together and stepping up with significant contributions in some cases. They'd never heard of it, but they said, we love what you're doing.
Have you set up a Give, Send, Go account yet?
Excuse me?
Have you set up a Give, Send, Go account yet?
No, we haven't.
Yeah, you might want to do that to help raise money, because a lot of Christians look at that and they support it, especially homeschool moms. See, we've had Iowa Mama Bears and a lot of these people that have been coming forward trying to change the curriculum in the public schools, because I seriously, I would subscribe to that, and I would demand that if I was governor of the state, I would say, okay, as far as curriculum goes, you will teach this, nuts to this climate change garbage. I got to ask, because I've been approached on this subject matter before about pole shift. I know you guys have been looking into that, and I had a guy actually, I'm like, dude, you're not a minister. You sound just like a preacher. On February 4th, 2023, the earth is going to shift and 700-foot wall of water is going to come out of the Gulf and all over the United States and drown our happen. I'm like, dude, seriously? As a geologist, looking at the science of a pole shift, what can we really expect, and is that even possible? I mean, is it going to happen to that degree?
Well, it will happen. Okay, we know these are cyclical things. I don't think we're due for a have one for a while. I don't think what's going to happen. I don't know.
I know.
But we do know, looking at geologic history, when these do occur, we haven't seen. If there's something catastrophic like what he's talking about, we'll be able to recognize that in the rock record. You know, we can see when big floods occur. We can see when big things like that occur. It's captured in the rock record, and we don't see that. It probably will play havoc with the electrical systems. But again, I don't know what the timing is on these. It's on a scale of hundreds of thousands of years. It's not anything that will keep me up awake at night. We've got enough other stuff that are really scary out there.
Well, especially this nonsense with, Al Gore, who invented the internet, of course, and, he's come up with this thing, and they've been pushing this climate change all as a means of control, which is exactly what they want. They want to restructure the entire financial system. They want to move us into a cashless society. I was just talking about on the last hour that there will be no more ATMs, and if you want to send a message when they start rolling this out and testing it, everybody needs to go to their ATM and start pulling cash out on a daily basis until their accounts are drained. I mean, in Ireland and England, they were closing their bank accounts and threatening the banks if they even tried this, and they dropped it. So they are being met with resistance, but the only thing, will we the people put their faith in fiat currency? They've got Federal Reserve notes that claim to be legal tender for all debts, public and private. They're worthless. They have no intrinsic value. We know this. We have some very smart listeners on this show, and by the way, we are coming up to break in a minute. The number is 844-769-2944, and one of the things I want to cover we've asked you about pole shift, but there are other things geologically that I got to wonder about as far as earthquakes, the New Madrid Fault, the tectonic plate shifting, and all of the other things that I want to get to after the bottom of the hour break. And folks, if you have questions, this is the time to call up and ask them. So, if you've got studies or you've got information that you want to get on in front of Mr. Wrightstone, he is here for the next half hour, and we'll be joining him after the break to talk about it. Stay with us here on the Power Hour.
Ideas have helped shape the very world we live in. ThePowerMall.com began as an idea, allowing entrepreneurs and small business owners like yourself the opportunity to not only survive, but thrive in an era where corporations dominate. ThePowerMall.com is a small family-owned business who has partnered with companies you've come to rely on and trust over the years, like Strauss Heart Drops, North American Urban Spice, Miracle 2 Soaps, Vitamir, to name just a few. Fight back against large corporations when you buy from ThePowerMall.com. Need to speak to a real person? Call Jay at ThePowerMall.com and receive superior customer service. Call 1-877-817-9829 right now. That number again is 1-877-817-9829. Support small businesses and buy from the good guys at ThePowerMall.com. That's ThePowerMall.com.
I don't know where to start. There's so many products you guys offer. I think one of the first things I ever ordered from you guys was your clay. The clay is miraculous. I could not do without that. And the charcoal, you can get yourself in a bathtub to kind of help take the toxins out. So just those two alone, but I could go on to the Optivita silver lozenges. Of course, then the Oregarest and the P73, the oil of oregano, and your Vitamir toothpaste. Again, I could go on and on and on.
Call Jay at ThePowerMall.com and receive superior customer service. Call 1-877-817-9829 right now. That number again is 1-877-817-9829. Support small businesses and buy from the good guys at ThePowerMall.com. That's ThePowerMall.com.
The Power Hour has been in existence since the turn of the 21st century. It is more critical than ever for you to sign up for our free newsletter and our breaking news. Simply text the word Power Hour to 22828 on your mobile phone, or sign up when you visit thepowerhour.com. Our website again is thepowerhour.com, or text Power Hour to 22828. Together, our legacy will live on for centuries.
Boost your immune system naturally this year with olive oregano, a potent germ killer. This is the true wild oregano oil P73, a blend of edible slices of wild oregano grown on natural mineral-rich soils. Research published in the International Journal of Food Microbiology found that olive oregano is an excellent germicide capable of killing a wide range of fungi and bacteria. Get it today by visiting thepowermall.com or calling 877-817-9829.
Listen, one of the things that was not mentioned was the Oregadent. That's for when you brush your teeth. You just take it and put your toothpaste on your toothbrush and just take a couple drops of Oregadent and put that on your toothbrush and brush your teeth. And I'm telling you, that stuff, once I brush my teeth, I don't want to eat anything for a while. Anyway, it's wonderful. So I use it a couple times a day, and your teeth really do feel so fresh. It's going to help a lot the next time I go to the dentist. So I really appreciate you giving me the heads up about that one.
Need to speak to a real person? Call Jay at ThePowerMall.com and receive superior customer service. Call 1-877-817-9829 right now. That number again is 1-877-817-9829. Support small businesses and buy from the good guys at ThePowerMall.com. That's ThePowerMall.com. just recently we both started on the lithium balance. I want to keep my memories. My two in-laws are dealing with, the Alzheimer's. They're in their 90s, and I see it. I don't want to be like that, and I've heard you talk about lithium to, improve our memory and keep us up there.
Call 877-817-9829. That number again is 877-817-9829. Buy from the good guys at thepowermall.com. That's thepowermall.com.
Does Big Pharma have a hold of you? Theparamall.com believes everything the body needs is provided by nature, unlike prescription drugs that aren't meant to cure but cover up your symptoms and contain addicting chemicals. Strauss Heart Drops are 100% all natural. Get the original kit, Strauss Heart Drops, by calling Jay at 1-877-817-9829. That's 877-817-9829. Or order online at theparamall.com today.
We're back. Dave Krieger with you on the Power Hour. Welcome to the final segment. We have Gregory Wrightstone. He is a geologist. And, of course, the phone lines are open, 844-769-2944. At 33 minutes after the hour Central Time. That's 12 noon, my time. And, of course, Greg, you're in Florida. So, anyway, we have Charles on the phone. Hopefully you haven't been waiting too long. What's your question for Gregory Wrightstone?
Not at all. I appreciate you gentlemen giving me the time, and I hope you're both well. But I just wondered, I always equate everything back to the work I've done, but that's because it relates so much, see, looking for answers and why things don't get accomplished and how come our government implements so many bad ideas. Well, look at people freezing in Europe. They could have had producer gas. They could have made those facilities, and those facilities have been made even recently in Africa. But anyway, the problem starts back with when the decisions made by like Rockefeller and Edison. Edison had the information on the 100-mile-per-gallon engine, which would destroy the oil companies, but it would also destroy the electric companies. They couldn't release it. And these things aren't that difficult to build. They built them in 1900 when we first, what they had, even before the 1900s, other people in Europe had the patents to make the engine breathe its own exhaust. So it wouldn't foul the air, and it would be much more quiet. And those patents are fortunately, for some reason, they're still available at the U.S. Patent Office.
Of course they are.
Amazing. But its footprints lead from what they've done, and it shows why they have to keep us quiet, why they push us into nuclear power, and why they are pushing us into electric cars.
The thing is, Charles, we're talking about global warming here and the propaganda that's being put out, and we have a geologist on the line, and I don't think that as far as, what you're trying to say, you've said that multiple times when you've called into the show, which we appreciate, and the thing is yes, they could have altered the destiny of the world had they taken on all of this patented stuff, but see, Big Oil and Rockefeller and DuPont and everybody else, everybody that was involved in this scheme, it was all about the money. And so the fact of the matter is now, with this alleged climate change going on, it's all about control, and they are going to control their objective, like Thunberg said, that Greg just talked about, was that they were going to control, no matter what system you have in place, they want to control it, they want to regulate your money, they want to tell you when you can spend it, they want to make it cashless, so that if you don't do what they tell you to do, they will cut you off, just like they did with the truckers in Canada. So we already know that, and we appreciate your call. And so we're getting back to some of the stuff, Greg, that we brought up before. And I also want to talk about, because of the fact that we were dealing in tectonic and plate shifts and things like this, you were talking about volcanoes, and Mauna Loa in Hawaii just went active. And so I'm kind of curious as to what your take is. You're going to see a lot more volcanic activity.
Well, I've taken a look at the volcanic activity. We can measure that with mid-ocean ripple. seismic activity. That's where the spreading centers, and there's been no increase. There's no reason geologically that there should be. There's one big climate misinformation lie. It's misinformation. A lot of your listeners may well believe it. Is that volcanoes emit huge amounts of CO2, more than the entire human civilization. Mount Pinatubo, there's one that's been going around, supposedly from Ian Plimer, that Mount Pinatubo put more CO2 out than all of human history with fossil fuels. That's just categorically, positively false. It is. Did it put out a lot of CO2 in a short period of time? You bet it did. But if you compare the CO2, we know how much CO2 was emitted in that eruption. We also know how much CO2 was emitted during that year in 1991. And Pinatubo put out 0.2% of what was put out by human emissions that year. That's the biggest volcano in the last possibly 120 years. And actually, atmospheric carbon dioxide, the rate of increase slowed after Mount Pinatubo. It didn't increase. And which is contrary to what people believe, is that, and the reason for that is, I've been working with Dr. Lloyd Spencer, University of Alabama at Huntsville, noted climatologist, meteorologist, and his work shows that categorically. He says because the solar radiation that came in was diffused by the sulfate in the atmosphere, and it led to increased vegetation growth, which sucked CO2 out of the atmosphere. So rather than Pinatubo adding CO2, it's actually a net decrease in the rate of increase. So volcanoes, they just don't. And you can look at each of the big volcanoes over the last 100 years, and it's barely a blip that you see. You can't recognize them being there. So the volcanoes are not. I mean, the increase in CO2 of 140 parts per million. It's from us. It's from burning fossil fuels and a bit by limestone of cement manufacturing. But it's ours. I'm okay with that. Because if you look at the back of my SUV, my bumper sticker says, I heart CO2. And that's our pull-up banner for the CO2. That's our unofficial motto is we love CO2 and so should you. And that's a fact. We got a billboard up on the Pennsylvania Turnpike of a woman resting comfortably. And we say, sleep well, there is no climate crisis. So I wanted to get that out. That's just scientific hogwash that's been spread. So the answer is...
But the thing is, Greg, CO2, the trees love it.
Yeah.
And the plants love it, and they produce oxygen, which is what we need to breathe, even though we're only taking in so much and putting out so much. But anyway, so Alan in Texas, you're on the line with Gregory Wrightstone. Go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Or good afternoon now, I guess. Quick question here. I'll try to be quick. What do you think about the possibility of the expanding Earth theory, about the accretion mass that's brought in, from interstellar particles, coming into the poles of the Earth, that the Earth is expanding, and primary water and abiotic oil, that the Earth actually makes this as part of its being in the middle of the planet, what does it do, does it make water? Does it make oil? You get that oil reserve, going dry, and then they go back a year later and it's full up again. I mean, where does it come from? It's not dead dinosaurs, of course. I think we're pretty sure about that, but just wondering what your thoughts were on that.
Interesting question, Alan. Thanks for your call. We appreciate it. Go ahead, Greg.
Sorry, Alan, but that's abiogenic oil is another point of disinformation and misinformation. It ain't happening. Are oil and gas accumulations a result of fossil fuels or fossils like dinosaurs? No, but they are due to organic accumulations accumulating in the oceans and seas. It's mostly algal blooms that bloom and die and fall to the bottom, bloom and die and fall to the bottom over many thousands and millions of years. They accumulate into organic rich deposits. They're buried very deeply, and then by heating them with the thermal processes, the deeper they're buried, the hotter it gets. That organic matter is converted first into oil, and then with higher heating into natural gas. I'm a geologist. I've been studying this, and the shale revolution has confirmed that explicitly. This abiogenic was oil was first promoted by Thomas Gould, and then the Russians latched onto it. It's been thoroughly debunked by science, but it keeps cropping up. It seems like it's hard to kill. There was one, I've only read of one field in the United States that has gotten recharged a little bit, and it was in Louisiana, and that's probably because the deeper organic rich shales and mudstones are probably leaking up into that, and it's not coming from the mantle at all. I know literally thousands of geologists who study this and make this their life's work. I don't know one that subscribes to that. And let me ask you this: if abiogenic oil was actually occurring, why aren't the oil companies using that as an exploration tool? Their job is to find large oil accumulations. Not one of them is using this theory to explore for oil. If it actually worked, you would stand to make a lot of money, but they're not doing it. And that's for a reason. It's not happening. And expanding Earth is, again, just another geologic. I hate to blow you up. I think it was Alan that said that, but it's not. Are we accumulating some debris from space? Yes, but it's such a small amount compared to the bulk of the Earth that it's barely distinguishable from zero.
So the thing is, though, is the Earth has a finite, from what you're saying, the Earth does have a finite source of fossil fuels. I mean, you tap it, it's gone, but in the meantime...
That's too simplistic. That's just too simplistic, Dave. It's because if you look at, just let me get, for example, I was the co-author of the first comprehensive peer-reviewed paper on the largest natural gas field in the world, the Marcellus Shale. It's in Pennsylvania, eastern Ohio, northern West Virginia. We looked at that field, and at the time, back in 2008, we looked at the top 10 conventional natural gas reservoirs in the world. Those top 10 reservoirs combined didn't equal the Marcellus. The top 10, that's how big it is. And not only that, I coined a new term at that time. The term was mega giant gas field. A giant field's 3 trillion cubic feet. A supergiant's 30 TCF. A mega giant, I said, would be 300 TCF. There are only 4 of those in the world, 3 in the United States, 2 of them in the Appalachian Basin in the east. And there's another supergiant that I've written a lot about. Above these, we've got 2 mega giants and a supergiant in the Appalachian Basin, and they're barely tapped. And then as things get scarcer, let's just say we start. We're not going to run out necessarily, but you'll get scarcer. Costs go up, and now you're able to go after the smaller accumulations that weren't affordable or economic before. Same with oil fields in the Middle East. The majors there don't go after an oil field smaller than 150 million barrels of oil, just because they like to go big. Well, there's a whole lot that are a little smaller than that. You can make a lot of money, but it's just not economic. When oil gets to $200 a barrel, they'll be tapping them. So as you're increasing the cost, you're increasing the economics and going after the smaller reserves. So now you're accessing reserves around economic before.
Interesting. Scotty in Virginia, you are on the phone with Gregory Wrightstone. Go ahead.
Thank you. I wanted to ask you a question about the methane being produced by the coal mine. You're talking about this oil can't be produced. So how is it that the coal mine emits off this methane that we tap into, bottle it up, sell it, put it on a pipeline, and it's a naturally occurring thing from the coal that's depleting in the ground?
Yes, there is methane associated with coal, but it's just tiny in comparison to the natural gas accumulations. There is coal bed methane for sure, but again, it's a very small amount compared to the big natural gas fields we're talking about here. And what's interesting too, as I'm learning, the coal fields, most of the coal was deposited in what's called the Carboniferous period. And during that time, it was right after the rise of the first trees. Even when that occurred, the coal swamps gathered, and like rock fungus that developed the ridge. It would actually break them down. That's why we have this period of about 150 million years where we had most of the coal deposits accumulated.
Okay, thank you.
Amazing how that works. And we appreciate your call, Scotty. Thanks so much. When we're talking about geologic shift and things that have to do with, what's going on here, I have to kind of wonder, Greg, the tectonic plates. I want to get back to that for a little bit. You haven't noticed really, as a geologist, that much movement or shift in the plates?
No, zero. I mean, they're always moving, but at imperceptibly small rates. When they do move, they can move pretty quickly. As we, just think San Andreas Fault or some of the other big ones. But the overall, we've not recognized. I just last week, in fact, someone had posted something about this increase in the amount of earthquakes associated in the Mid-Atlantic, and it was what he was recognizing as an increase from 1970 to the year 2000 actually was just an increase in the amount of stations that were being constructed. So they more than doubled the stations for sensing this. So of course you're going to increase the number of events you're picking up. And he contended, I couldn't convince him otherwise. I even had the head of IRIS, the data consultant, the company that does this, that said, yeah, you're right, it's an increase in reporting, it's not an increase in actual events. And it's been pretty flat ever since 2000 in terms of, it's got unusual peaks and valleys. We just kind of look at the facts, but there's been no trend of increase of seismic events.
Well, see, enough to put
they released a study last year claiming a 5-fold increase in natural disasters. And it was big fanfare, all the papers picked it up, and I looked at the data, and just like when we talked about with the seismic event, there was this 5-fold increase from 1970 to about 1998 or 2000, and then from then there was a 10% decline since 2000 on. And we contacted the head of that section, and again, they reported that, well, yes, it was an increase of they were building their stations out. So they started in 1970. We just increased and finally built them all out in the year 2000. But we will lose an increase in severe weather and natural disasters. But yet they released this report. They knew there was an increase in reporting. And that's what they do. They twist these. They use statistics and torture the data. They start with the result that they want, and then they torture the data to get to the result that they want, the preordained conclusion.
We just had a call from somebody that sometimes they don't want to stay on the line to ask, but they wanted to know how you felt about the large volcano in the northwest of the U.S. Now, I'm assuming that's not Mount St. Helens. It might be something else. Yellowstone. Okay.
It will likely erupt at some point. I definitely don't think I hope it won't be very too. It will be bad when it happens again. It could devastate and wipe out complete states. But again,
how so?
It probably won't happen for hundreds of thousands of years, and we should have plenty of warning ahead of time. And that's why Yellowstone has there's a big plume underneath Yellowstone. That's why we have all those hot springs and geysers and everything. That's why Yellowstone is Yellowstone. And so, it's there, but it's not going to happen. Watch, it'll blow tomorrow. Actually, it's not going to happen. But but I don't think that's. There are other real things we have to worry about.
So, I mean, it's geologically speaking, you don't look for this to happen anytime soon, but you said that it's going to be bad. I think people want to understand that if it happens, what should they expect? You said it could wipe out several states. In what way? Just cover it with noxious
Well,
gases?
it's thought that whenever it does erupt, that it will be a massive caldera eruption that would be just like a nuclear bombs swirl going off. And that's not my specialty. I think it's interesting. But again, I don't see any indication of that.
Well, it just got interjected on my screen that if it happens, we can get you back on Wednesday to comment about it.
Okay.
Oh, you gotta love it. So, you know, I mean, but the thing is, you know, we have callers that are thinking outside the box, Greg. I mean, we have a very smart audience here. A lot of what the government is saying, you see, I've always talked about on this show cognitive dissonance, and it's something that has enveloped over half of the country, and they're all in this belief state, and they believe everything the government puts out. And the government, in the meantime, is censoring people like you and the committee and the group that you have, the CO2 Coalition. And they're, you know, and now they want to tank carbon dioxide. And I'm like,
Well, and the new demon molecule is nitrous oxide. N2O. We just probably one of the most important papers, maybe the most important paper we've ever published was published 2 weeks ago. Nitrous oxide and climate. And then Dr. William Happer, who's emeritus professor of physics from Princeton, along with Kees de Lang, emeritus professor from the Netherlands, and some others, published that to look at the allegation that nitrous oxide, N2O, is a greenhouse gas and it's causing man-made catastrophic warming. And they looked at it and said, if we double our nitrous oxide, number one, that doubling won't occur for more than 400 years at the rate we're going. And two, if we do double it, the warming in the atmosphere will, you're sitting down, I'm telling you, okay, it'll be 6/100 of a degree centigrade of increase in the temperature. You can't even measure that. And that's their work. And then we looked at the other half of the paper where our agronomy experts took a look at what life would be like without nitrogen fertilizer, which is what they're trying to ban. It's going to be horrific. It'll lead to crop failure, famine, pestilence, and nasty population. And that's what they want.
thank you for that. I'm glad somebody out there from a scientific perspective, besides all the frontline doctors I've had on, because of the COVID jab, this is just another ulterior motive to depopulate the world.
Well, it'll be, you could call it an unintended consequence, but I think it's very predictable what's going to happen. Just as we had very predictable that energy prices were going to skyrocket when you do everything that Joe Biden's done.